amazing, but praise God, I know it's free. Let's stand all over the building, sing that chorus with them. Here we go. My, what a joy to serve my Jesus. Oh, that I could explain the way I feel. Rejoicing in unspeakable joy and full of glory. It's amazing, but praise God, I know it's true. Sing that chorus again. My, what a joy to serve my Jesus. Oh, that I could explain the way I feel. Rejoicing in unspeakable joy and full of glory. It's amazing, but praise God, I know it's true. Rejoicing on the tag. Rejoicing in unspeakable joy and full of glory. It's amazing, but praise God, I know it's real. It's real. My, amen.
How many of you know if it's real, it's show? You remember we used to, I know my boys, we didn't have, when I went to school, they had show and tell. Amen. I believe if you got a testimony, it'll be shown and it'll be told, don't you? Amen. I tell you, it's real. It's real. Honey, it's going to be over one day. And it'll be worth it all then. Amen. When we see our Lord. I come to meeting tonight, did I didn't come to see you. I came to meet with him. And I tell you, I've been recharged, rekindled, renewed. Brother Roy Ferguson, would you pray for us this evening?
God, we thank you that we can come into thy house. Lord, realize that this earth is thy footstool.
Yes.
Lord, you look down on it all,
Yes.
including us individually. God, as we gather here tonight, we just pray, Lord, that the songs of praise will be lifted up to you and you smile down on them.
Yes.
Lord, the word to be preached, which is the truth.
Yes.
Lord, you should apply to the hearts and minds of thy people here
Yes.
tonight. And Lord, we thank you for your forgiveness and your love, even to us while we were yet sinners.
Yes.
Went to that old rugged cross and died for us.
Yes.
We praise you and appreciate that tonight. And Lord, as we come to this time of service, we just ask you to bless it all in the name of Jesus. We pray in these things. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Be seated.
Thank you so much for being here tonight, and we appreciate it so very much. And let me just say thank you to Oakland Avenue for letting us be here this week, and during homecoming, and then here all week long with Brother Ralph. Thank you so much. And then thank all of you for bringing supplies. This afternoon, we went by Eastside Free Will Baptist Church and loaded up what they had, and then we came on across the mountain and came over here and loaded up all the stuff that you guys have brought. And we want to say thank you so very much for your kindness and your help bringing all the supplies in. And we pretty much got a box truck load headed back across the mountain, and we want to say thank you so very much. And Lord willing, week after next, Brother Frank, the 14th through the 16th, we'll be there with Brother Frank there at Bible Baptist in Elizabeth, Tennessee. And we'll have their homecoming service on Sunday the 14th. And then we'll be there with him 15th, 16th, and 17th, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If you can come and be a part of any of those services. What time we start at night? 7 o'clock, okay? And if you can come and be a part of those, we'd love to have you there at Bible Baptist there in Elizabeth, and where we had the tent set up a few years ago. So most everybody will know where that church is at. And if you'd like to come out, we'd love for you to be there. And then continue to pray for the folks down east. We'll be headed back down in the morning, and we're doing actually a distribution day. Grace Baptist Church is one of the largest churches in that area. They have a large Christian school, and part of their gym collapsed during the storm, and then part of their sanctuary, the ceiling, because the wind tore off their steeple, and then the water started coming, and they had like 30-something inches of rain in those few days. It collapsed part of their sanctuary ceiling into the sanctuary. And so tonight, we're doing a special distribution just for that school, and just for the staff, and just for those families. So you pray for them. that God will encourage them tonight. And we've got volunteers on the ground there tonight working and helping us while we're here. And I want to say I appreciate them so very much for helping us to be able to do what we do and all of us working together. Last night, I think, Brother Ralph, we had over 30 folks there at the warehouse working while we were here having service and just packing up supplies, getting those boxed up and ready to go. And Lord willing, we'll send another load the first of the week back down east and get that down there. So again, thank you so much for being here and being a part of the service tonight. You pray for the choirs they sing, and if you'll smile at them, they'll sing just a little bit better. Amen. Living by faith. Here we go. I care not today what tomorrow may bring, the shadow or sunshine or rain. The Lord I know will live for everything, and all of my worry is vain. Living by faith, in Jesus above.
rejoicing. How I wish they could see. Thank you, Lord, for your blessings on me. There's a roof up above me. I've a good place to sleep.
Yes.
There's food on my table and shoes on my feet. You gave me your love, Lord, and a fine family. Thank you, Lord, for your blessings on me. Now I know I'm not wealthy, and these clothes, they're not new. I don't have much money, but Lord, I've got you. And to me, that's all that matters, though the world may not see. Thank you, Lord, for your blessings on me. There's a roof up above me. I've a good place to sleep. There's food on my table and shoes on my feet.
Oh, thank you, Lord.
You gave me your love, Lord, and a fine family. Thank you, Lord. Don't you stand all over the building and sing that chorus with me. You know it? Just sing it with them. There's a roof up above me. I've a good place to sleep. There's food on my table and shoes on my feet. You gave me your love, Lord, and a fine family. Thank you, Lord, for your blessings on me. All the time, here we go. Yes, thank you, Lord, for your blessings on me. Amen. You fellowship with one another as a choir. Comes down to sing. Thank you so much for being a part of the Friday evening service.
sometimes as a pastor, we might start looking at what we don't have. We might better get focused upon what we do have. Amen. And if we get focused upon what we do have, it'll make all the difference. I tell you what, there's some things will rob you of your joy. Worry will rob you of your joy. Things will rob you of your joy. And people will rob you of your joy. There's a little girl come in one day and she slammed the door and she walked through and her daddy said, "Honey, what's wrong?" She said, "This world will be a wonderful place if it weren't for people." Amen. For you that are visiting, this is what I tell them here at the church. You can't lick, you're not going to lick the sugar off of my supper. Amen. I tell you, this thing's real to me. I didn't get in this thing in the refrigerator, and I don't want to go home in the refrigerator. I want the real thing. Greg and I, when we was loading, by the way, none of you have to work and load all that truck tonight. Greg and I and Jamie, we did that earlier. It's and I will, if you have never seen perspiration, that's good old time sweat dripping off of some fellas over there loading it this afternoon, but we got it all loaded. We do thank you. There's a lot of stuff there that will help some folks. So, but it's good to know the Lord and His grace and His goodness. Tonight we're going to receive a love offering for Brother Ralph and everything this church gives to the evangelist and Brother Greg. We've already taken care of him, and we'd like to take care of Brother Ralph. I told him we might get $10 for him last night, and Ralph, I got bad news. We only got 5.
I'm not complaining.
You're not complaining. But us give to God's man tonight. I tell you, I don't know of a man that has given his life more to service for the Lord. And I call him my friend. And I'm walking together a long time. And they'll never forget when we were taking the old tent down 1985 in Kingsport. And he looked at me and he said, "Roy, it's not about me any of it's for our kids and those that are coming." And he's a dear friend, a dear brother. And I praise the Lord for him. So let's give tonight. Let's give a generous love offering tonight. If you need to write out a check, write it out to Oakland Avenue Baptist Church or Ralph Sexton Ministry. And just give as the Lord directs your heart tonight. If our men come to receive the evening offering, and I think the trio is going to sing for us tonight. I tell you, God has blessed me in this place. And I looked up there and saw prayers answered tonight. And I tell you,
Thank God for the glory.
bring the glory back. Bring the glory. Amen. Brother Frank Woods, would you pray first and ask the blessing on the giving tonight?
Father, we just want to thank you for the privilege of being in your house.
Yes.
I truly, Lord, feel that we're so blessed. I know I am, Lord.
Yes.
As they sing that song that I love so dearly. Thank you, Lord, for your blessing on me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Lord.
Sure didn't deserve it, Lord. Glad you came to where I was at. Save me by your grace. In Jesus, I pray. Bless and anoint Brother Ralph tonight. God use him. Bless the offering, Lord, be received for this our brother. Lord, all that you've done already, what you're going to do, we'll thank you and praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Gonna lift my hands to praise Him for all He's done. Gotta live my life to please Him. Even though I don't deserve to live, my life is just begun, and I can't help but praise the Lord for all He's done. Now there are many things that I could praise God for, and if I started now until I die, there'd still be many more. If I could mention only one, I thank Him for His Son. Now that's enough to praise the Lord for all He's done. For all He's done. I'm gonna lift my hands to praise Him for all He's done. I try to live my life to please Him, even though I don't deserve to live. My life is just begun, and I can't help but praise the Lord for all He's done. For all He's done. I'm gonna lift my hands to praise Him for all He's done. I try to live my life to please Him, even though I don't deserve to live. My life is just begun, and I can't help but praise the Lord for all He's done. Even though I don't deserve to live, my life is just begun. Hey, we praise the Lord for all He's done. For all He's done.
Thank the Lord.
Praise God.
What a blessing.
All He's done, all He's done.
Abraham saw just o'er the horizon the healing for sin, and the blood that would flow. Isaiah described redemption's old story. David sang sweetly how the cure for my soul, and His blood says I'm healed from all sins, afflictions, the test came as fate when I answered His call to the eyes of the world. This sinner was hopeless, but His stripes say I am healed. Yes, His blood says it all. We've waited so long from the Garden of Eden. The prophets of old saw this new surety, and now that He's mine, please don't tell me I'm hopeless.
was his pastor many, many years ago when he was just a kid, young teenager. Never will forget, he come to me, he said, Brother Roy, I think God's called me to preach. He said, how can you help me? I said, if you can do anything besides preaching, you go do it. One of the finest young men you'll ever meet in your life. Before he surrendered to preach, I preached one night on agreeing, if two of you agree on anything. I preached that night. I got home. There's 4 cell phones. My phone rung. I answered it. He said, Pastor, do you believe what you preached tonight? Yeah, John David, I believe. He said, will you agree with me right now to pray? My sister Rachel will be saved. Me and him prayed together that night. What was it, 3 weeks later, John David? You know where she's in Lighthouse Baptist Church, the pianist tonight.
Amen.
Don't look at what you don't have. Look at what you do have. I think when I'm gone, I'll still have a heritage, Brother Ralph, and some of these young men, some of these young people. Come preach.
Amen. Well, God's good to us, Pastor. Pastor, stay here for a second. Right here with me, Brother Roy. Brother Roy and I are headed to the Holy Land October 30th. And the trip sold out early. It sold out in August, and we've got 3 buses, 120 going on this trip. Then we got another one in March of next year, going to springtime. And then in July, Brother Roy is with me in 2015. We had a most unusual invitation to go to Korea. And a lot of you watched Dr. Billy Graham's funeral, and you saw a man from Korea speak. That's Dr. Billy Kim. And Dr. Billy Kim was Billy Graham's interpreter on all his trips to South Korea and into Asia. And Billy Kim, somebody got him one of our revival tapes or whatever, and he invited us to Korea 2015. Brother Roy went with me because he served in Korea, and I knew that would touch the hearts of those people, and they treated you like a king. It was just unbelievable. They couldn't do enough for him. They loved on him, prayed with him, and sometimes we'd tell about his service and his brother's service, and they'd weep. Well, we went back this year, 2018, got an invitation to go back, and we had a harvest of souls. We had a harvest of souls, the military base. We had a harvest of souls. The general, their number 1 man over the Army, came and met with us. I went and ate with him, congressman there. Just amazing how God opened the door. And you want to know the difference in our country and their country? Their Congress met and voted that every missionary, Christian missionary, that's a Korean, should not only get the support from their church, whether they're Methodist, Presbyterian, Free Will Baptist, whatever they are, that they ought to get their church's support. And then, guess what? The Korean government ought to send them a check, like a Social Security check. And the government, and we wonder why God's blessing them? Huh? And so they send every missionary. Now, the number 1 country in the world for missions is South Korea. They send more missionaries to India. And you know how we used to take up money and send missionaries to the Philippines, and all those Filipinos singing men would come through? Well, you know the number 2 country in the world for missionaries? Philippines. Their churches are exploding, and they're sending more countries. And you know where they're sending a lot of their missionaries? They're sending them to Dubai and Kuwait. They're concentrating on the Middle East. The Filipinos are. And you say, well, where's America? We're number 17. Number 17. And they told us at the national conference just a few months ago, it's not a Baptist event, it's like a Pew Foundation research group. They said if America doesn't have revival, we won't even be in the top 25 next year. Because the churches are just not, we're not giving and we're not growing. The fastest growing denomination in our country is the Islamic religion. I just preached up in New England, Connecticut. They're closing churches, taking the pews out, putting in prayer robes, and turning them into Islamic prayer centers. So that's why this pastor was burdened for us to have revival and bring back the Lord. So we got a phone call, and I wanted him to stand here with me because they've invited us back. And if you're a pastor here and you're interested, you see Brother Roy, you can go with us in July. But we'll be on the military base, July the 20th. Had so many soldiers get saved, they wanted to know if we'd come and lead a baptismal service. So they want me to bring myself and 29 other pastors to come, and then there'll be a couple of hundred Korean pastors. They've already had 4,900 sign up to be baptized. 4,000 soldiers have already been saved in this move of God. So, and so we're in there for a baptismal service on July the 20th. So I hope you'll come pray and believe it. Y'all, a lot of you saw pictures of Billy Kim. Billy Graham preached to the largest audience that's ever been for an outdoor meeting. And there was a little over 1 million people there. So, and Billy Graham preached, and Billy Kim was the interpreter. Well, we found out on Muzette's deathbed, she really had a burden for me to go to Korea. She had told Winston and the guys, and I think they had told Brother Roy. They didn't tell me till I got in Korea. It's unbelievable. 5 o'clock in the morning, we go to church.
Yes.
People are smiling.
Yes. Pray.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Parking cars, ladies at the doors, all of them wearing smocks. Good morning, good morning. Let's worship. 3,000 people in one church, 5 o'clock in the morning. I go up to the pastor's office and have a cup of tea, come back out, and there'll be 5,000 more, 6,000 some places we were in, at 6 o'clock in the morning. Most of those churches average between 7,000 and 10,000 people every morning, 5 days a week. Not just because Ralph's in town. They do that every morning. And then I went to the world's largest Methodist church, the world's largest Presbyterian church, the world's largest free gospel church, and it's the same story. And you know why? I asked every pastor, didn't matter if he was Baptist or Presbyterian, I said, why are you so burdened? What's this passion? And every one of them, independent of the others, said, we're praying for America. We're praying for America. I said, why are you so burdened over America? He said, if that crazy man across the river there, if he decides to attack us, he said, do you think Russia's going to protect us? Do you think China's going to protect us? He said, do you think the UN's going to protect us? He said, there's only one country in the world that loves freedom. And he said, that's the one that bought our freedom, those American GIs. And they'll start crying when they talk about it. They say, Americans love God, and they love us, and we don't want them to lose their God. They're praying for us to have revival. On Friday night, they took me to a church, downtown Seoul. And Brother Roy and I turned the corner, and we were in a van, and there was 4 lanes here, a beautiful greenway and subway in the middle, and 4 lanes here, and it looked like a motor coach parking lot. Down the side, as far as you could see, big Trailways type, Greyhound type buses, as far as you could see. And then not one road, double on both sides of the road. And I asked that pastor, I said, sir, what's all this, what's going on, what's the man? He said, they come to hear you preach. I said, what? He said, these are people that live in the country. He said, they don't have a car. He said, but on Friday night, he said, we have a prayer meeting to thank God. We had jobs this week, and we had health to go to work this week, and we got churches on Sunday. So he said, even the people in the rural area come in for our prayer meeting. They don't get out at 9 o'clock. They start at 9 o'clock.
Yes.
And the associate pastor leaned over to me, and I up on the platform, and he said, they feel the main floor, we're going to open the balcony. I said, okay. Then they opened the balcony. Then he said, they're going to open the second balcony. Sir, they're opening the third balcony.
Yes.
He said, sir, they're standing up. The fire marshal's going to stop us. He said, we're almost at 13,000 in the building.
Yes. Yes. Hey.
At 9 o'clock on Friday night,
Yes.
after everybody got off work, took their wives and children out to eat, bought groceries, went home, and come to church. And their whole purpose is to thank God that they have health and life, and that they work this week, and we got a church to go to on Sunday.
Amen. Yes, yes.
When I got through preaching, he said, Pastor Sexton, we didn't want to cause you to be anxious, but he said, there's something we need to tell you about our service on Friday night. He said, obviously, everyone can't come to Seoul. He said, but our technology is very advanced in South Korea, and it is. It's more advanced than America. You just can't believe how advanced. The roads are electronic. I mean, everything. It's amazing. They have more robots per capita than any nation in the world. It's unbelievable. I mean, the technology. Bullet train, 200 miles an hour, and I got a Coke and set my glass on the table, 200 miles an hour, and the Coke doesn't even tremble. I mean, it's just 200 miles an hour, and your Coke doesn't even wiggle in the glass. Technology, magnetic power underneath that train.
Yes.
Electronic magnet, something they've invented, unbelievable. And he said, we didn't want to tell you, but on Friday night, he said, all of our churches have big screens. And the Methodist church was in that morning. I think we counted 11 giant screens in one church, plus their back wall. Like the back wall of this church, the whole wall would be a video wall. They call it a video wall. You know, those start at about $500,000. You know, then they go on up. But that's where they start. And he said, when you got up to preach, he said, we pushed a button. And he said, all of our churches, 650 in our fellowship. The smallest church, 1,000 seats, averaging 5,000 to 10,000 a congregation. He said, you preach tonight to those churches live when they hit that button.
Yes.
He said, plus we have churches in Japan and Singapore and Vietnam and Thailand. And he said, we'll send you the attendance count later. Thursday, 2 weeks ago, I called Brother Roy when they called us. They called from over there and sent an email actually and said, Brother Ralph, we wanted to give you to know that on that Friday night you preached to 1.1 million people live. Is that amazing? And you know what the message was that night? Revival. Yeah, we preached on the shepherd and the sheep.
Yes.
It don't matter what country you're in. And I talked to them that God had them like Esther. for an hour. Yes, it is. Because what if God lets the wall come down to North Korea and they can take the gospel into North Korea and China? We'll see millions saved in a matter of months. That'll be unbelievable. So any of you preachers that want to go, you see Pastor Roy, you can travel with us. It'll be in July. The baptismal service will be on the 20th. And then while we're there, we're visiting a lot of churches. So we'd love for you to see it. We'd love for you to experience it. And whoever dreamed that we would get to have an honor, obviously that's the largest audience I've ever preached to, probably will ever preach to. But it's amazing, isn't it, that God gives us those handfuls on purpose. Well, tonight, let me see what time it is. I don't want to mess you guys up on Friday night here. We're not in Korea.
Amen, brother.
Who said amen?
Oh, Lord.
It's 10 minutes till the hour. But I will be respectful of your time. But here's the seed that I want to plant for just a minute. I told you we've been praying and preaching about revival all week. And so tonight I want to tie a little bit of prophecy to revival. And here's how that works. If I really believe the Lord's coming back, how many of us believe the Lord's coming back? All right, if I believe the Lord's coming back, then I'm going to live differently. Yeah, you know, my prayer this morning at the house is, God, I thank you for another day. I thank you for who you are. God, I thank you for what you are. And then God, somehow, would you somehow work on me today that I can be a little closer to you than I was yesterday? Get some of Ralph out of the way. And let the Holy Spirit of God rule and reign in my life. Well, if I believe the Lord's coming, here's 3 things you can write down. It's very simple, but it's called a prophecy revival because you can just write this down. Number 1, if I believe the Lord's coming and that He could come at any moment, I want to be right with God. Right? If He's coming, I don't want to be left behind. I don't want to hope so, think so. You say, well, I got my fingers crossed and I got my rabbit's foot in my pocket. Well, it wasn't very lucky for the rabbit, was it? So it ain't going to help you much. So here's the thing. If I really believe the Lord's coming, I want to be right with God. That's number 1. If I really believe what I say I believe, then I want to be right with God. Listen, don't depend on what someone told you said when you were 5 years old, or what they told you did when you were 6 years old at your grandmama's house. As an adult, you know what you've done, and say, God, I want to trust you. I want to believe in the Lord Jesus Christ for my salvation. You want that as an adult, that peace that I might have asked the Lord to save me, and I believe that, and I know it. I'm not going on what someone said. You're not dependent on taking the Lord's Supper. This is not this do in salvation of me. This says this do in remembrance of me. It's not for salvation, it's for remembrance, all right? And then baptism is a symbol. It's a public testimony. That's not for salvation. Buried with Jesus, resurrected with Christ for newness of life. It's a public testimony. So sprinkling and baptism is not our salvation. You got to have not ritual and not religion, but a relationship. Okay? So you got to know, number 1, you're right with God. Number 2, you've got to be right with your fellow man. Now, you want to start a revival in your church, you want to start a revival in your life, then you get and have revival with your wife. That's where this starts. That's what it's talking about, my fellow man. That the wives are right with the husbands, and the husbands are right with the wife. It doesn't do any good to come to this church and try to have meeting if y'all are fighting when you get home.
Amen. Amen.
Now don't look at me like a calf at a new gate. You know what I'm telling you. If we're going to have, it doesn't do any good to be at the house and have supper before you get to church, and you tell the kid, tell your mama to pass the salt. And she said, you tell Tarzan if he wants the salt, swing on down there and get it. This isn't going to help us, right? Right? Well, when we speak to each other, then we get in the car and drive to church, and then we get out of the car. And there's the preacher standing in the door looking for you, seeing if you're coming. And he's standing there, and you say, there's the preacher. Hey, Pastor, how are you? And he say hello to the preacher. Hey, preacher. And you didn't say a word all the way to church. He's mad at the house. She was testifying with the door. You know?
Yeah.
All those sweet things we do. You don't have to look over. Are you upset, honey? You know, right? And you can't bring that to the house of God. If you believe the Lord's coming, it has to start at home.
Amen.
You got to get right with God. Do you remember how you treated her when you were dating her? Huh? When I used to go pick Musette up, you know,
Yeah.
I had a little old box in the back of the car, you know, and I'd stop, and before I got to wherever she was, or when I had that 57 Chevrolet convertible, you know, wherever you was going to pick up the girl, you'd stop a block away and open that trunk and get out those baby diapers, and you'd shine all those baby moons and those, you know, you'd make sure the dash didn't have any dust on it. It had to be perfect. I'm going to go pick her up. And then she'd get in the car, and you'd say, be careful now, don't twist that little ankle getting in here. You'd hold the door open, right?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. And you'd say, where do you want to go there? I don't know. Where do you want to go? Baby, it don't matter to me. You want to go to the moon? We'll go to the moon. I'm Rocket Man. Here, let's go. Huh? Right?
Yeah.
Now we've been married a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we got 2 or 3 youngins. Now we get out of the car. And you're halfway in the house, up on the porch, she's coming out. She got one holding on to her skirt. She got one in her arms, 10 pounds of potatoes, 2 gallons of milk, bag of groceries, coming up the sidewalk. You're, hurry up, old lady, I ain't got all night.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to have revival? Let's start at the house.
Amen.
Right with my fellow man. That's my fellow wife and my fellow husband, my fellow young'uns and my fellow parents. Huh?
Yes.
I went to the hospital and visited a man, and he'd been fussing with his neighbor. And he accidentally shot himself with a .45 automatic and threw his hand into his leg. And you know who came over and saved his life, put a tourniquet on his leg? Fellow had been fussing with him. He put the bell on there, cut that femoral artery, and held it.
Amen.
You know what he said? He said, I think I ought to fix that fence up.
Amen.
It don't have to take something big. That's what God's talking about. You want revival? People know in your neighborhood if you love the Lord.
Amen.
Right?
Yes.
Don't be like a guy in my church now. I mean, we say we're saved, we got our Bible laying in the back seat, but you know, we love God. He was there on Patton Avenue getting ready to turn out NC 63. And a guy behind him laid on the horn. And the guy in my church, he went, you idiot. The light's red. And the guy went beep again, and he said, slammed it up and parked. What else did you get for Christmas besides that horn? Huh? He said, you beep it one more time, I'm going to come back and feed it to you. He's a good man at my church. I love him. Don't look down. You have some people that feed them horns too. Say amen, Brother Frank. Oh, you know it. And you know what? That poor old man did it again. He beat. He jerked up that car door. He went back there and the jaws on him. And he said, "What are you thinking? Can't you see that light's red?" And he said, "Sir, oh, sir." He said, "I didn't mean to upset you. Please forgive me, sir. I'm sorry." He said, "I didn't see your bumper sticker. Honk if you love Jesus." Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
he called me that night. He said, "How did I get through?" I said, "That's between you and God, son. You done messed that up on too many levels." If you want to have revival, get right with God. Get it right with your fellow man. Number 3, if you believe the Lord's coming, this will change your prayer life.
Yes.
You don't want to leave anybody behind you, love. Who in your family is not going to get together if the Lord comes? There'll be a son, a daughter, a grandchild, next door neighbor, aunt, uncle, mom, dad. If I really believe the Lord's coming, it gives me intensity in my prayer.
Amen.
Right?
Amen. Yes, it will.
So, the Bible talks about in Revelation for us to repent and do our first works. And what is the obligation of the church? The church is that we are to be salt and light. Isn't that interesting? You ever wondered why he said salt and light? Well, see, salt is a preservative. And so salt is my responsibility in the community. If there's ever been a midterm election, you need to vote in, even though you're aggravated at everything in Nashville and in Washington. You need to bucket up and go vote. If we stay home because we're mad, then we're going to give it to the enemy. So you make sure you're registered to vote, and then you go vote your faith and family values. Find out who's for abortion. Find out who's against abortion. All you got to do is just ask those candidates, where are you? Vote your faith. And if you vote your faith, you'll be fine. But we can't open our mouths if we don't vote. And you say, "Well, I'm so mad I'm not even going to vote." Then you give it over to the enemy. And what did I preach on out of Ephesians Monday night? That spiritual wickedness, remember, in high places? And remember, there's a comma. It says principalities, commas, powers, comma. And then it talks about darkness in this world, comma. Well, this present world is the physical. That's the darkness in Nashville. That's the darkness in Johnson City, in the county, in the city building. Those are people that rule over us. The people in Washington. But there's a difference. There's a comma in that verse in Ephesians 6. It says what? It says, and spiritual wickedness in high places. And that's because the church will be polluted by wickedness in leadership. Organized religion. It's spiritual wickedness in high places. You saw the protest today in Washington? You saw all of them in the halls of the Senate? Somebody, you ought to take time sometime to look at what shirts they're wearing and freeze frame it, take a screenshot and enlarge it. That one biggest one that was there in the hallway was blocking so many senators. You know who that was being led by? That was being led by Yale School of Divinity. That's a preacher's school. That's where they train the preachers. And that was the ones, because what they're doing is they're saying we are for abortion. This whole struggle is not a judge and a woman. This whole struggle is about pro-life. That's all it's about. It's about abortion. You got to see through that. That's all it's about. And so that was the school of divinity. That's spiritual wickedness in high places. So we need to have revival. And so if I believe the Lord's coming, I want to take my family with me, my friends with me. So it's going to change my prayer life, because I don't want to leave anyone behind that I love. All right, I'm going to hit the high places on two things. And number one, I don't have time. This isn't a prophecy conference, so we're not going to put a night on this, a night on that, and night on this. But let me just whet your appetite. Turn to Luke 21 and verse 7. Okay? I talked about the need for revival, right?
Yes.
Okay, if I believe the Lord's coming, then those are three causes that will provoke revival. I want to be right with God, I want to be right with my fellow man, and I don't want to leave anyone behind that I love. Verse 7, and they asked him, this is the book of Luke, chapter 21, and they asked him, saying, Master, but when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign when these things shall come to pass? Okay? Now, back up and go to Matthew. You're at Luke 21, and back up and go to Matthew 24. Matthew 24 and verse number 3. And they sat upon the Mount of Olives. The disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of the coming and of the end of the world? I just gave you 3 reasons to have revival. Now I'm going to give you 3 questions that provoke revival. 3 reasons and 3 questions. Question number 1. Jesus, tell us, when shall these things be? How close are we? How close are we? That's question number 1. All right? Question number 2. What shall be the sign of your coming? What shall be the sign? All right? And number 3, and what will be the signs of the end of the age? Sunday school teachers, Bible students, pastors, and missionaries, you can take those 3 questions and those 3 reasons for revival, and you can go for weeks, because each one of them can be developed into needs for revival and spiritual awareness. I cannot serve the Lord on my own strength. I cannot keep me till tomorrow.
Amen.
And something's got to break the heart of the church, that we get back to a brokenness and an humbleness before God, that we say, God, I can't get my child, I can't get my grandson, I can't get my best friend to go to church. God, they're not going to listen to me. But God, if you will visit us in demonstration and power, they will listen to you, because we're broken and we're humble and we're contrite before you.
Amen.
We're desperate.
Yes.
It's not my brother that needs revival. It's not my sister that needs revival. It's Ralph that needs revival. And that's where it begins. It's always, you read about all these great revivals, it was always 1 or 2 or 3 people that got together to pray and believe God. The great revival in the Hebrides Islands, it was 2 sisters. They got a burden, and they prayed.
Yes.
And by the way, that's a fascinating history study, because all those people that were in that great revival, those are all related to Donald J. Trump.
Yes.
That's his family.
Yes.
That's his relative.
Yes. Yes.
He may not know anything about the Bible, and he don't know if it's 1 or 2 or 1st or 2nd. But I tell you what, somebody up his family tree knew God. He may be Cyrus. God may be using him in spite of him, and you don't know what God's doing. I know a couple things that happened. I know the Johnson Amendment's been repealed so that we can have liberty back in the church. And I know that the embassy has left Tel Aviv and gone home to Jerusalem. We can rejoice in that. And so we know that there's never been more friendship to the church than there is today. The danger is that we go to sleep and we don't pay attention for the needed revival for this day and for this hour.
Amen.
So that's what we've got to pray for. Do you understand that?
Yes.
We've got to see it so we can have revival. He said, when shall these things be? What shall be the sign of thy coming? And what shall be the sign of the end of the age? Now, here's your next point, and it has to do with Israel. You've had 3 reasons, 3 questions. Now watch this. How do I tell what time it is? This week. God doesn't tell time with a watch or a calendar. He tells time with the nation of Israel. If God is dealing with the nation of Israel, then you sit up on the edge of your seat, because something is about to happen. And you got to remember, for 2,000 years, God just left it alone.
Yes.
God just left it alone. And then May 1948, guess what happened? They got down there and they said, enough's enough, the world's never going to accept us. And they said, let's just declare ourselves a nation. And you know what they did? They declared themselves a nation. And 120 seconds later, their phone rang, May 14, 1948. And it was the President of the United States. And Truman said, I want to congratulate you. Welcome to the world's nations. I want to be the first. My mama read the Bible, and she told me God was going to do something with the nation of Israel. And 2,000 years, they weren't even there. 2,000 years. And in your lifetime, they're back. And so God is dealing with them for the day and hour that we're living in. And so that there's no greater sign that your Bible's true, and there's no greater sign there's a God than that there's a living, breathing nation of Israel tonight. And I've had the privilege of being there 52 times. I've spent 2 years in Israel studying. And I can tell you this much. There's no greater victory than the victories that God has given them in the desert, in the 6-day war, the 73, the Yom Kippur War. It's a goosebump city. I mean, you just can't explain it. How do you explain it? They're outmanned, they're outgunned. You've got the Arab nations outpopulate them 10-1, and they attack them. And they're down in the Egyptian desert, listen, they're already across the Suez Canal. They're coming up past Gaza, headed into Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, and nothing can stop them. Israel don't have anything. They don't have anything. And all of a sudden that night, they said that the Egyptian army, this is out of Life magazine, it was in Look magazine, they had pictures of it. And they said in the night, said they saw something, and said they got up the next morning and a whole Egyptian division had surrendered at daylight. A whole division. And they surrendered. And you know who they surrendered to? They surrendered to a used American Willis Jeep with a .30 caliber hanging on the back and 4 G's. 4 G's, a Willis Jeep, and a .30 caliber machine gun. And the general was standing there and he said, where are your armies? He said, where are your tanks? Said, last night we saw the fires of your encampment around us. We were surrounded. And we heard the rumbling of your tanks. And he said, that's why we laid down our arms. We didn't want our men to die. We knew we were surrounded. And he said, hey, buddy, ain't nobody but us and this little Jeep. And a great big God. And that was over and over. Gershon Solomon, a lot of you know, he's a personal friend. You know the story that happened when the Syrians ran over him in the northern attack there in the Golan, crushed his legs. And he said the angels of God were on that hillside, said they just started to surrender. He's an unbelieving Jew. He's an Orthodox Jew. Yes. He goes to synagogue, eats kosher diet, and I talked to him about Jesus, and he sat in my living room, in my house, and talked to me, and tears running out of both of his eyes at 2 o'clock in the morning. And he said, I can't explain it, Ralph. I can't explain it. He said, if I don't build the temple, I'm supposed to help build the temple. But he said, I know what you're saying. You're saying Yeshua is the Messiah. And he said, I feel something, Ralph. I feel something. He said, I'm almost persuaded. You've ever heard that before in the Bible?
Yes.
When those Jews were hearing from Paul that he is the Messiah, he is the Son of God.
Yes.
And that same Jew 3 years later calls me in my office, and he said with an excited voice, I thought his wife had died. I thought something happened. He was talking so fast, and I'm trying to slow him down because his English isn't all that good. And I said, Gershon, what's the matter? What's the matter? He said, get to the apple, get to the apple, get to the plane. He said, you've got to come, you've got to come, you've got to come. I said, what's the matter, buddy? He said, it's unbelievable, it's unbelievable. He said, you've got to come. I said, Gershon, tell me. He said, every morning I get up before the sun. And he said, I look to the eastern sky. And he said, I take my walking stick and I start walking. And he said, if he's coming today, I want to meet him. He said, it'll come from the east. I thought, my God in heaven, you're an Orthodox Jew. I know Jesus. You're more excited about him coming than we are. You've been up every morning and you're walking towards the eastern gate in Jerusalem, because if this is the day, you want him to know how much you love him and you want him to come. And I said, well, what's the matter? You do that every morning. I've known you for years. You've always done that. He said, oh, this morning I walked outside my house and he said, it's all over me. It's all over me. I said, what's all over you? He said, it is unbelievable. It is the bump of the goose. It's all over me. It's all over me. I said, what's the bump of the goose? He said, you can feel his presence in the city. He said, you can feel his presence. He said, he's coming, he's near. He said, I don't want you to miss him, Ralph. Get a plane. He's coming. Come over here. He's coming. And I said, Gershon, I said, I know you've got goosebumps. That's what he's trying to say. And he said, the bump of the goose. But I said, you're excited and you believe. And I said, you're right. He is coming.
Amen.
And I said, but listen, I've prayed and I've talked to him, and guess what, Gershon? He's promised me before he comes to you on the Mount of Olives, he'll stop by my house and pick me up. He said, you promised? I said, yeah. He said, he's going to come and get you. I said, he's already told me. He wrote it down in the book. He said, if you believe, he said, I will not leave you comfortless. I will stay with you. And when it's time for me to come, I'll bring you home with me. And he said, when we come to Jerusalem, we'll all be together.
Amen.
Hey, church, he's coming.
Yes, amen.
Ready or not. We used to play hide and seek, right?
Yes.
And we'd have a counter. And everybody go by. And then the counter would count to 100. Well, most of them, he would go 5, 10, 15, 20. But the rest of us would count to 100. And then what would you say? Here I come, what? Well, out of heaven, every time the news comes on, every time they have another little exchange in the Middle East, the European Union, heaven's just saying, here he comes. Ready or not? You better get ready. Here he comes. It's all the prophecies are there.
Yes.
Think about living in a day and age when every nation that's in the book of Ezekiel, in the battle of Gog and Magog, every nation that's listed is already in the news today. Libya's in the news today. It's the new center of ISIS. Egypt's in the news today. China just had a peace treaty drawn up with Egypt. They just had a peace boat in the Nile River Sunday, 5 weeks ago, I believe it was. They drew up an accord together. Kings of the East, making an alliance with Egypt and Libya. And think about it. Think of all the nations that are in Syria. And Syria, Damascus is almost in ruins from the war. And what does the Word of God say? In Isaiah 17, it says that Damascus will lie in ruins right before the Lord comes back. He didn't say Hong Kong. He named the city in Syria. You think that book's not written by a holy God? Huh? And you know what the cynics have done? They've laughed at us for years, made fun of us, because how are we going to fight the battle of Armageddon? Are we going to fight it with David's sling? Are we going to fight it with David's spear? Are we going to ride our chariots? Back there on the table, I've got the video that the Israeli government allowed me the footage to come back to the United States with and show people the Iron Dome. It's called the Dome, God's shield over Israel. The Iron Dome was developed, and it is a system that intercepts any missile coming in to the nation of Israel. Matter of fact, it's so sophisticated, the United States government just ordered it for our destroyers and our aircraft carriers. That's how sophisticated it is. It's light years ahead of anything we've got. And you know what? You know what the rocket is named that comes out of that tube that goes up? It's called the Arrow. Bow and arrow. They laughed about that, remember? The cynics, they said, you're going to fight with bows and arrows? The name of that rocket coming out of that tube is the Arrow. Huh? Oh, by the way, the interceptor that's for the ballistic side, it's called the Spear. The Spear. It's got a little more, goes higher, goes further. It's called the Spear. Oh yeah, they've got a third generation they just came out with in 2018. Third generation. It's laser guided. You got to reload too, right? But what if you got an impulse laser? Ain't no reloading that baby. Let's keep it plugged in.
Amen.
Star Wars. Oh yeah, they named it. I forgot to tell you the name. David Slane. David, they named it. Those Jews named it. I didn't name it. I can read it too. They named every weapon system is in the book of Ezekiel at the Battle of Armageddon, and they named it by name. You say, well, what are they going to do with those chariots? Well, the #1 battle tank in the world is Merkava. It's the fastest, most powerful battle tank in the world, the Jewish battle tank, Merkava. And Merkava in Hebrew is chariot. So they got the chariot, they got their sling, they got their arrow, they got their spears. And if you want to tangle with them, you're crazy. What about that? Everything is that. Who could have put that together in the Word of God? Don't go home doubting. Don't go home being afraid. Don't go home looking at the headline. You go home rejoicing. The Lord's coming. God's in heaven. He's going to take care of us. And you don't have to be afraid. I've got a whole study up here I was going to read to you about every enemy of Israel, and I just won't have time to do it tonight. If I get to come back sometime, I'll deal with that. But every enemy of Israel has a spiritual meaning, even in today's world, whether it's Noah's days, or whether it's Babylon, or whether it's Persia, that's Iran, or whether it's Egypt, whether it's any of those nations. All of them have biblical applications and spiritual battles, but that's a whole nother 45 minutes or so, just to take those apart and say, here's every nation that's around Israel, and this is what they represent in the life of a believer. Because each one of them represents something that I'm up against. Israel's surrounded tonight. The enemies are there. But I'm surrounded tonight by the enemies of my soul. Well, who's going to take care of Israel tonight? A God that neither slumbers nor sleeps. Well, who's going to take care of me tonight? That same God. That same God that neither slumbers or sleeps. You say, well, Brother Ralph, are there any other proofs? Oh, there are multiple proofs. I wish I had time to talk about your cell phone. We wondered how we were going to have verses in Revelation field. Revelation 11 talking about the two witnesses. That used to be brought up in institutions of lower learning, and they would make fun of it and say, is everybody going to go home and watch their TV and see these guys get killed? Ladies and gentlemen, this week, while I've been preaching here, at 2:18 in the afternoon, 225 million mobile devices received an alert from the President of the United States. 2 minutes later, at 2:20, every radio and every television in America was activated with the President's message. But how easy, if we got the buttons and we have the technology, how easy it is to push the button and somebody say, there's two witnesses that have been causing trouble in Jerusalem. Here they are, they're dead. Right? By the way, you don't have to push a button, though. All you got to do is have some kid with a cell phone. I'm going to put this on YouTube, man. And the whole world sees it. Right? Do you realize how the world's changed? You got a cell phone in your pocket? Well, you don't miss my life, Ricky. Playing games. Your mom will beat you to death for them. You see a cell phone? It's an iPhone. This has more computing power and more technology and more ability than every computer and NASA the day we put a man on the moon. That's right. Right here. All those big rooms of computers and telemetry and figuring out orbits and where we're going to put him and what speed do we have to be and what will be the re-entry that they don't burn up. This is stronger, bigger, badder, and better. It's right here. And this is just one stage. We're headed now. Listen to me carefully right here. You say, Brother Ralph, you sort of made me nervous when you said I need to go vote. I don't like politics in church. All right? I can appreciate that. But I didn't say anything political. I said something patriotic. And there's a difference in politics and patriotism. And you know what's happened this week? You know those super servers that do the cloud and run the cloud? You know, we've got the radio station, Heritage Radio up there. Kent puts all those messages of my dad, Mays Jackson, 24 hours a day. You know, there's preaching going on 24 hours a day. It's on the cloud. Those super servers. Well, guess what they found out? Google and Amazon were buying super servers from China. And Tuesday, they found out that there's a node in all these super servers. And a little old node, and guess what? It's the size of a grain of rice. It's not supposed to be there, but it gives a backdoor entrance to China, and China has been trying to manipulate our midterm election with false news and false reports against President Trump because they don't want him to be the president because of trade tariffs and because of what he did in the Pacific this week. They built those islands and said these are military bases and said we own the Pacific Ocean. And what did he do? He said, Bobby John Brown, if that's going to happen, the United States Navy goes through there. And he sent our ships through there this week. And everybody been afraid to go in there. Japan wouldn't go in there. And nobody would go in there. And he sent our destroyers through there. And they tried to ram our destroyers. Came within 45 yards of ramming the United States Navy destroyer on Wednesday of this week. And Trump sent them a little message. And I can't say it in church. But But here's what you've got to understand. That is where we are because of the social network and the kids don't watch TV. They don't watch ABC. They don't watch Fox News. They get their news off of social network. So if somebody's feeding them false reports, then you're going to change the thinking of a whole country because every one of us carrying around their little indoctrinator.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so, and guess who took the news to the public? Vice President Pence.
Yes.
And today they threatened him, threatened his family. And China said, we're upset with you. Well, guess what? They'll have to be upset because it was found out they're trying to switch the midterm election. And you need to tell your family, you need to tell your friends. Not everybody has time to do research like I do. And you need to say, you know what? We need to pray.
Yes.
And we need to be faithful in the house of God. And then we need to vote.
Amen.
Right? Because of what's coming. And so there's a lot happening. All right? Let me see what time it is. Hey, I don't know.
Great job,
Here we go. I got 60 seconds.
Church starts in 30 minutes.
There you go. Church in Korea doesn't start, right, till 9 o'clock.
That's right, we got
All right.
30 minutes.
Here we go. You got $1 or $5 in your pocket, pull it out. Piece of money. So, well, you'll have to use hundreds, but the rest of us will use one. You want to borrow $1? I'll show you what it looks like.
I got it.
Okay. $1 bill.
Dollar bill.
Okay. What does it say across the top of that dollar bill?
God we trust.
No, the top. Top. Federal Reserve what? No. Note means I owe you. This is not money.
Amen.
This is not money. This is a promissory note.
Yes.
They're promising they will give us money in the future, the sweet by and by. It says this note to the left of George's head, this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private.
Yes.
It admits it's not money.
Yes.
They boldly don't care. It is a note. Okay?
Yes.
So, if this is not money, what is money?
Yes.
Okay? Well, the Bible said that those preachers, when they went to the poor man, they told him what money was. Silver and gold have I none, but such as I have, give I thee. Okay? So, currency, money, is silver or gold. So, for generations, what did we do in the United States of America?
And it back.
Here is a $3
Go.
bill backed by gold or silver. Here is United States. This is 1886, and it says United States, $1 silver dollar. Now people say, well, you can't change my money. Look how many times they've changed the money.
Yes.
So, this says $1 silver dollar. I'll leave this here for you to look at, just on that in your collection. Okay? Here's another one, and this is $1 silver dollar. It says silver certificate. And what up here it says, this certifies that there has been deposited in the treasury of the United States $1 in silver, payable to the bearer on demand. Okay? Okay? So here's another one. Here's 1876. No, this one's 1917. This note is legal tender for $2. Okay? All right? Now, here's another one, and this says, right here, says, silver certificate. This certifies there's been deposited in the Treasury of the United States of America $1 silver payable to the bearer on demand. And then it says that this is reusable when received. In other words, if you don't want your dollar in silver, you can use this paper, it's lighter, and you can pay your bill with it, and somebody can receive it. It's saying you can use it over and over again. It's right here in the small print. But whoever's got it in their hand, if they want a silver dollar, they can get it. Okay? Then here's Federal Reserve note. Here's 5, and here's the famous Buffalo $10, bill, and this is the same thing. This note is legal tender for $10, and it is backed up with silver or gold. So this is what we used to have. Then we went off the gold standard. Then we went off the silver standard. Now, when I was a high school boy and I was working at Winn-Dixie, they would run specials on the weekend for bread. And bread would be 10 cents a loaf. And I would go across the street to the Pure gas station, and I would put fuel in my Chevy, and a gallon of gas was 25 cents. And if they had a gas war, man, it'd go to 19. You know? And they had gas wars back then. They did. And so I paid a quarter. And you say, well, what's a gallon of gas today? Here. How much? $2.69. All right. Now, today, and a loaf of bread is anywhere from 99 cents to $2, depending on whether it's a big box bread, a white bread, cardboard bread. We're used to eating birdseed bread. From 99 cents on up to specialty breads. Okay? If you have a silver dime at home, and you take a silver dime and you go to a coin shop and you sell that silver dime, you will get $1.10 for that, for just the silver melt. For the collector's value, you'll get more than it. They'll add a premium on top of that. I'm just talking about they melt it. I'm not talking about any collector's value. If you go and take 25 cents, that 25 cents that I bought a gallon of gas with, this afternoon, for melt value, no collector's value, they were paying $2.65 a quarter. What I submit to you is they're changing everything, but if you have real money, bread's still a dime, and gas is still a quarter. You follow what I'm saying? So, I have currencies from around the world, and I don't have time to go into this side, but Revelation 13, verse 18, but let him that hath wisdom, let him count the number of the beast. It's talking about no man shall buy or sell, it said it has 3 things. Isn't it interesting, all these threes tonight? What are the 3 things? You gotta have a mark, yeah? Or you gotta have a number, or a name. If you got a mark, number, or name, then you can do commerce. You say, well, bless God, I'll never do that. All right. Go to the grocery store after church and tell them not to scan your groceries. So check me out, but don't scan me, because I don't want to do the mark of the beast. Go to the shopping center. Go to the mall. Every place you go, they got a barcode and scanner.
Yes.
You're already there. You can't buy without a number. Now, that's there. We didn't see it coming. Who organized everybody to put a barcode on their products? You know what fascinates me? I'm crazy anyway, but what fascinates me is who got everybody together to say that beans would be such a number, and potatoes would be such a number, that every grocery store would have beans and potatoes, but they could buy or sell with those barcodes. And now it's so sophisticated, when you check out, they're reordering. They're reducing inventory and they're reordering all at the same time while you're checking out. Now, you can walk up. I had my little granddaughters with me the other day, and they took me to watch the Panthers play football. And so I'm there with them, and they said, "Granddaddy, you want a hot dog?" And I said, "Yeah." And I started digging, and they said, "What?" I said, "I'm getting some money." And they went, "Granddaddy, you're crazy." And they got hot dogs and nachos and drinks, and she held her watch up to a scanner. And I said, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm paying for it. They're taking it out of my checking account, Granddaddy." She laughed at me for digging for my money.
Yeah.
Little, you're out of touch, Granddaddy. My Apple phone has Apple Pay. It talks to this reader, and it pays. And they don't use it. Huh? And guess what? They say now, because of all the cyber robbery, they can't have, somebody steals your identity. Do you know what I've spent the last 5 months doing since Musette died? While Musette, we were having our funeral there in Asheville. The day of the funeral, Musette bought $7,000 worth of patio furniture in Concord, North Carolina. That afternoon, she bought $6,000 worth of building supplies. The next day, she bought 3 large screen televisions. Where did they get that? Because when we put the obituary in there, it had her date of birth and it had her mother's name. And so what they do is they go to these little retail stores and say, "I'm going to open a Lowe's account, I want to open a little home design account, a little in-shop credit cards," and everybody's got them, up to $10,000. And you fill it out. What's your mom's name? And here's my mom's name. What's your date of birth? Here's my date of birth. And then they make up some numbers. And then they say, "Well, you're welcome to the family. Here's your credit card. You want to use it today?" "Yeah, I believe I do. I want some patio furniture." And then it goes to the back office. Then they start processing it. Then 2 days later, they call and find out, "We're calling about your account. We had some discrepancies here. The numbers didn't match." And I said, "What are you talking about?" They said, "Your wife bought this." I said, "My wife's funeral was 2 days ago." "What?" So now what are they suggesting? They're suggesting that instead of a credit card or my little granddaughter's Apple phone, that they put it in a little chip, like the size of a piece of rice, in your right hand, and you just scan your hand. We've had it for years for pets, for lost pets, but now they say, "You can't prove you're Ralph Sexton." "How do I know you're Ralph Sexton?" "He can be Ralph Sexton. You can be Ralph Sexton. Because you got my date of birth, and you got my last 4 social, and you got my name address, and you know my mom's maiden name. So who's real?" So revelation is here.
Yes.
Now, we've got to have one thing. I told you I was fascinated with who got all the bean guys together and the potato guys together. My big one is who got all the nations together with their money. I gotta have a mark, right? A name, or a number. Well, the number system's here. So now we need a mark. And the mark will be, we all want to keep our national pride. So the Brits want to use the pound, the French want to use the franc, the Germans want to use the mark, the Italians want to use the lira. So we all want national pride, and the Americans want to use the dollar, right? Mexicans want to use the peso. So, how do we tie us all together? Well, here's a Korean, and somebody didn't put anything on this side of the money. They left a place, a blank space. Here is the Bank of the Bahamas, and they left a blank space. Here is the Bank of South Africa, and they left a blank space. Here is Vietnam. They left a bank. See? You see that? See, it's almost like an image. And here is Kuwait. And somebody left a blank space. See? Huh? I don't have time to go through all of them, but here is Poland. Here is Egypt. And Egypt's actually got stars around it. You see the blank space? There's nothing in there, but they got stars around it. Something's coming. See it there? All right. And so here is the Bank of Samoa. Here is the Bank of Kenya, the space. Here's Australia, the space. Here is the Bank of South Africa, and here's another Bank of Korea. Okay? Who got everybody together and said, let's leave a space so that when the one world system's in order, all you have to do is to run your money back through and everybody put the mark on their money. Because we saved the space for what's coming. Every country in the world is getting ready for the book of Revelation.
Yes.
But the church is asleep at the wheel. That's why we have to pray for revival. So I love you very much. I apologize, I went over a few minutes, but there's so much that ties together with the covenant of the Lord and revival. So let's pray. Father, bless tonight. May we go home with hearts of expectation and excitement that any moment the trumpet of God could sound. I pray, God, that you bless us tonight. Give us a vision and give us a burden for what's coming. And we'll give you praise, glory, and honor in Christ's name. Amen and amen. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that study. I preached primarily to the Christian tonight. But if you're here and you don't know the Lord, don't leave the building without Him. One of these pastors will meet with you and pray with you. If you've gotten cold and careless, the whole purpose of revival is revival. Revival. Not resurrection. That's the lost person. Revival's us. That's me. I want it. You want it. And obviously you're welcome to come and look at these displays. I want you to see them and just see. People say, well, they can't change our money on us. Well, I was in Israel with a group, and I had Israeli pounds. And we would have to, you have to take a lot of money sometimes when you're overseas doing these tours. 92. And we were there, and next morning I have to pay for the hotel, I got to pay for the restaurant, all the food, all the tips. So I go out, and we get the tour on the bus, I count out these hundreds, pay, sign, thank you for the good service, here's 200 in tips. I get to the door, oh, no, run, oh, come back. What's the matter? Oh, no, not enough money. Oh, not enough money. I said, did I count wrong? No, come back. I said, I counted again. I said, it's to the penny. He said, those aren't hundreds. He said, those are tens. He said, they changed it last night. They dropped to zero during the night. $100 bills became $10 bills. Overnight, they devalued the currency. That's why I showed you about the dime and the quarter. Because they're devaluing your currency without dropping a zero right now. They're doing it with inflation. So they took away gold and silver. And you see, so we're doing the same thing, but we're just doing it a little nicer. Venezuela just dropped 4 zeros off their currency in 1 night. So you can check out their hyperinflation. You want to buy a car in Turkey today? Yesterday, their interest went to 24%. 24%, trying to salvage their currency. So this is worldwide. This never stops. And you just need to know you're on the cutting edge of, I'm excited. I get up every day excited about being a Christian because God allowed me to be alive in one of the most exciting times in the world. I get to see Israel come home. I get to see prophecy fulfilled, and I need to just go, yes, I can't wait for what's next. Because it's an exciting time to be a believer. But do your research. If you spot something you think I'd be interested in, send it to me. More eyes looking is wonderful. Ladies, I had several ladies come to me before service and say, Musette blessed you today. And you even had some friends. Your mother, I think, heard you, part of her teaching. So they're up here. It's on the Christian woman and depression is number 1. I'm saved, so why am I unhappy? Number 2. And I'm saved, but I'm not perfect is number 3. And they are beautiful. Of her teaching, it's just like in the studio. And they'll be up here on the front. The displays will be over here. And if you want to stop by the table back there, we have revival CDs and DVDs. All the DVDs, like the Evil to the Times 4 that's back there, Evil to the 4th Power, that's about the 4 demons that are tied up in the Euphrates River. And we got maps and illustrations. The golden, the shield over Israel back there, it's got the military footage that they gave me permission. It's inside that. So you get to see it all. All my research is always inside all those prophetic teachings that you can see it, back it up, play it again. And so we love you, appreciate you. Make sure, pastors, if you're thinking about Korea, let Pastor Roy know. We'll be getting together as soon as we get back to the Holy Land. Pastor, you close the service. Thank you again, church family, for allowing me to be here. I enjoyed being with you. I love you very much.
I was married with him in 92, but, just like tomorrow morning, you wake up in America and you thought you had 100 more an hour and you got 10. That knocked your socks off.
100,000, that becomes 10.
Yeah, 10,000. And, the coming of the Lord, I'm expecting him to come, aren't you?
Amen.
Well, let me ask you something. How many of you drive better when the highway patrol's behind you? Raise your hand. Hold on. How many of you really drive better when the highway patrol's behind you? Just as soon as the highway patrol's not behind you, what do you do? When you stop looking for the Lord, you know what you do? You start living like he's not coming. But if you believe he's coming any moment, it'll change how you live. He's talking about the 6-Day War. And Avi, our guy, he and I got close over there. He had 3 sons, I had 3 sons. And we were up in the Golan Heights. And Avi said in the 6-Day War, he was a colonel. And he said, we stood right there in the Golan Heights looking over, seeing Damascus. And he said in the 6-Day War, I had 12 old, dilapidated, reconstructed tanks. And he showed us where that he was at. And he said, I looked and I saw 25 or 30 of the best Soviet-built tanks that could be was coming down from Damascus coming this way. And he said, I looked in this side, in this ravine, there's another 20, 25, the best Soviet tanks made. And he said, all of a sudden, they began to divert and go up and this. He said, what in the world are they doing? He said, all I've got to do is get down here and maneuver and knock this tank out and that tank, I've got them. And after they had surrendered, he said, why in the world did you do what you did? He said, you just had the whole hill full of tanks and artillery. He said, all I had was 12 old dilapidated tanks. If you want something to get your life kindled about Israel and God's people, read the 6 Day War.
Yeah, it'll fire.
6 Day War. Man, this thing's real, people. Let me have you believe it's time we stop playing church and get real. Listen, right, we're just going to unbuckle. And our men tomorrow morning, we have our men gather here at 7:30 on Saturday morning praying. We'll be here tomorrow morning praying. And Sunday morning, I tell you what, I'm looking forward to what God's going to do. Aren't you?
Amen.
With excitement like that, we're bound to turn the world upside down. Amen. Stand to your feet, shake hands with 5 people, and good night, and God bless you.